Hi everybody, I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. How you guys doing? Okay, so yeah, across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City. Come check us out. My hair is a wreck right now because I just finished coloring it and waiting for it to dry. But in the process, I'm going to talk a little bit about my hair because yay. Uh, I wanted to keep some of the blonde effect, but I wanted to kind of darken it up a little bit. I wanted more coolness. Although I had chosen a cool shade of blonde that was, it wasn't like really orangey in base or anything like that, but a very, nighttime shade of blonde. I did want to I did want there to be a lot more dimensions in the hair that I'm working with. And basically all this up here, by the way, is there's no hair up there. But I just have it pinned up while I'm working so I can kind of talk about what I've done. So um, a lesson on the hair. The hair strand itself has a hair color that the pigment is given to it by the melanin. And the melanin in the hair, if they're larger, then less light passes through and the hair strand appears darker. And if it's in kind of a moderate amount, then enough light passes through that maybe it can look reddish, you know. And then when it's smaller fragments of melanin, then what happens is more light passes between those fragments within the strand of the hair of melanin, and you get the effect of blonde hair. And that can happen naturally, or it can happen by taking a darker hair and using a process like a peroxide or a bleach to open up and kind of chemically break apart the larger pieces of melanin so that more light can pass through it and it will be uh, allowed to shine through as blonde. That happens. That's how you lighten the hair. And when you get it to the lighter degree that you wanted, then you can put a product in called a tint that can be semi-permanent, permanent, or can be temporary, really, that will wash away. But even if it's really, really, if the pigment has freshly been processed and broken up and lightened, then even the temporary can stain and be a little bit more on the permanent side. You might have to wash it away with a chemical like a baking soda or something like that. So that even the temporary may stay a little bit or may build up, But in this case, it was fine. The hair was lighter, and then I had put in a very light tint on it. And then today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create darkness. So what I did was, or for dimension, so I wanted the hair to go darker, more in, a darker to a medium brown. Now, I was with my friend Mike, and we picked out a relatively dark color. Uh, we were playing a game. I guess I called it a game. We were in the store, and I was like, Mike, let's pick out. You pick out my hair color. You pick my hair color, and of course he picked out something darker. And so I felt obliged to use it. But I did talk him into, hey, this really dark, you know, really, really dark black, 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 is not going to work for my hair because it's going to be like, said gothic emo kind of black, and that's would wash out my skin, and I would be very, very pale, and I would look almost odd and sickly at that combination. And that's not where I was wanting to go. If I were feeling moody, if I were just wanted to like, wow, just let me just, if I wanted to feel that edgy or whatever, then I would do that. But I didn't. But I did want to be creative, and I did want there to be a lot of dimension and tone. So what I did was a technique that we called, when I was training in the 1990s, we called it. Uh, a couple of different names, and it was then what determined which name we would call it by would be the level of dark permanent color that we were going to put into the hair, from the level of how much strand we were going to leave lighter. We were going to leave that alone, and we were just going to put the dark hair, the dark dye over the hair where we wanted it to be. And I did it to a degree. I guess I want to guess about 75% of my hair, give or take. 75 to 85% of my hair. I put the uh, color on, and then uh, because it was already a lighter color, but I was putting a dark color in it. I actually didn't have to let it sit for 20 minutes. I basically put the hair where I wanted, and then from there, went over and turned on the shower. By the time the shower was running warm, it was time to rinse the color out. There's no need when depositing a darker color on lighter hair. There's really no need for it to sit for a full 20 minutes. You don't really need to do that. So you actually can get the result of a what's called a tint back, and that's when you're putting the color back on the lighter hair. It had previously been processed away from a dark color, and we're tinting it back to a dark color, so it's called a tint back. Okay, and if it's done to a light degree, what I mean by that is when the hair is mostly blonde or the lighter color or something, you're putting just the occasional depth by adding some warmth, and by warmth I mean darker colors into it. You know, I guess warmth is not the correct tone, but it can be. That's the effect that happens. But basically, what you're doing is, in my case, it's actually putting in cool nighttime tones, darker colors. So basically, what we're doing is toning down the blonde and bringing it back to a darker color. But if we were only doing that subtly with the occasional little bit of a dark color here or there, then that would be called low lights, adding low lights to a light hair. And then if you were to take it and you would just color all the hair, every single strand from root to tip all over, then that would just be called a toning your hair, all of it. So you got your toning, your dyeing your hair, or whatever. You got all that. That's kind of an umbrella term, and that you would use that when you're doing everything. And then a tint back is when you've bleached the hair away from its darker color to a lighter color, and then you're putting the toner on to bring it to go back down. And that basically the only difference between the tint back and then the toning really is that you can use a toner because the peroxide in a toner will lighten the hair, and you can do that as a one-step application, or you can use that as a second part of a two-step application. But that's about it. But then the degree that I'm talking about, if I were just putting in the occasional brush of dark hair, then it would be called adding low lights. But to the degree that I did it, where it's almost dyeing the hair, almost all of the hair back to a darker color, you would call it a tint back. And I didn't pull it through a cap or anything like that. I just worked with the hair itself, and just with each section, just leaving the occasional lock of hairs, tendrils, the occasional tendril just untouched. And so that I'm going to get these, lighter colors through the sections of hair. And it's not even going to be noticeable. It's not even really going to be noticeable through the hairstyle, but it will keep it from looking as if it's just one shellacked bit of color on my hair. And it would actually look a little bit more natural. And then if I needed to, if I felt like for some reason I didn't give it enough coolness, if I hadn't brought in enough darker or nighttime shade into the hair, away from the summery blonde, then it would be very easy for me to go back in and just touch that up. And also the color that we used was meant to be used ideally with the 20 volume developer, and I have 20 volume developer, but I wanted to keep it lighter, so I actually because I'm a hair chemist in my past, I used a 40 volume developer so that the hair and basically uh, put it on, and basically what happened was that ensured that the hair was just going to kind of be a little bit, the dye as we were working was not gonna go too dark with my hair, and it would be a gradual blend, and it's gonna be neat. So the effect it's just that we're getting is basically a medium blonde, and keeps it from looking like just straight up, just really really dark uh, Lego man black hair, uh, that you know I kind of wanted to stay away from. I didn't want it to be a harsh color. I wanted it to be subtle. And then this is cool. So let me, in the video, I've talked about my hair basically just to excite myself and just to look at it as it's lightening up and to see where it goes. And now get the fun of playing with my hair. And basically, I would say play with it. Basically, I'm just going to throw some gel in it and stick a cap on it and call it a day. How fun.